Well, in the meanwhile, we will be having a panel discussion, so I request all the exhibitors to please come down and be seated. This is going to be a technology innovations and its integration across industries. So requesting all the exhibitors to please come down and be seated. We'll have the panel discussion about technology innovations and its integrations across industries, which is going to be really beneficial for all your businesses. I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss any of this. We will be waiting for a minute for all of you to come down and be seated. Requesting all the exhibitors to come down and be seated for the panel discussion. And the topic for the panel discussion today is technology innovations and its integrations across industries. Requesting all the exhibitors to please come down for the panel discussion. The topic is technology innovations and its integrations across industries. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me take the honor and introduce you to the panel for today. So firstly, I would like to call upon our moderator, Alexander Henn, CEO, Squared Circle Ecom, KPO. Can we have him on stage with a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? I want you all to show more energy. I know it's afternoon time, we are all hungry, but I promise we'll give you a good lunch so that you can all refresh. So kindly be seated, sir. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Next, may I invite Lakshmi Nageshwari, Global Head AI Solutions, Boston Limited, on the stage. She's the other panel. With a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, more energy. Thank you, ma'am. Please be seated. Next, I would like to invite Gautam Karmakar, Chief Business Officer, Sugarbox Networks. Thank you, sir. Please be seated with a big round of applause. Next, I would like to invite Vinod Ramakannan, CEO, Spinta Digital. Well, we all know him. He's won 2 awards last night, so we should call him with a big round of applause. Come on. I want all of you to give him a big round of applause. Thank you, sir. Next, let's call the person who was giving you goodies yesterday. Nitish Gopalani, co-founder Funada. Can we have you on stage, sir? Well, I think we have Kishore instead of Nitish. So, but still we can give it a big round of applause for Kishore. And next, may I invite Nanjunda P, founder, Nija Venture Impacts Private Limited. Can we have you on the stage, sir? Next, may I take the honor to invite our yesterday's moderator, who was terrifically good, Mr. Sudhakaran Srambikal, CEO and co-founder, QGates Technologies. I think he's not here yet. The team is trying to connect with him. We'll wait for him for a minute. In the meanwhile, I request all the exhibitors to please come down and be seated for the panel discussion. This is going to be very beneficial for all of you, as the topic is technology innovations and its integrations across industries. Everything here at India First Tech Startup 2022 is for your benefits and is to be useful for all your future events in your businesses. I think he's here with us. So let's give him a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, Sudhakaran. Can we hear it for him? Come on, when he wasn't there, we were clapping loudly for him, but now I think we should be louder. Thank you, sir. And this is our panel, ladies and gentlemen, for this afternoon for the panel discussion. The topic is technology innovations and its integrations across industries. On to you, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you. Very good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Hands up if I am. Okay, that looks great. Cool. Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President Raj Sharma, dear Madam Vice President Alka, distinguished guests and exhibitors, and a very warm welcome as well to my co-panelists today. My name is Alexander Henn. I'm CEO of a company called Squared Circle. We are a Bangalore-based, almost crossed the startup stage. We are in our third year. I have worked for companies. I was one of the first employees of Amazon.com in India. I have worked as well for the Lazada Alibaba Group before on 1st of January 2020, my wife and I started our own IT company here in Bangalore. My wife sits in the audience. A very warm welcome to my wife, Rajeshwari. She's the managing director. Cool. So our company, we had to be innovative. We started at the 1st of January 2020. And in the third month of operations, we were to face a pandemic. 1 week before we were to occupy our offices, we had to very quickly reinvent ourselves. We had to do remote onboarding of our employees. We did remote onboarding of our clients. And against all odds, we continued growing our business from starting as a very small company with 15 people. We are now a company with 100 plus employees, and we keep growing. I'm basically from Germany, but as they say in India, I have become a son of the soil. So I'm more than 20 years part of the country, part of the economy, and India has become my home. It is my honor and my privilege to host today's panel discussion on the occasion of the IndiaFirst Tech Startup Conclave 2020 here for the Bangalore chapter. We will talk about, with our panelists today, about technology, innovation, and its integration into industries. So basically, we want to have a look how innovation can fuel and further fuel the Indian economy and the Indian growth story to become a global powerhouse. So, taking a step back, it started with the wheel. So I would say one of the first and the biggest inventions was in fact the wheel, and from there the mankind kept thinking what to do tomorrow, what to innovate, what is the smartest way of doing things. And we saw then inventions such as electric power, the light bulb, of course, telephones and automobiles, airplanes, and most recently smartphones and the internet, which revolutionized the world and has brought businesses onto a complete new level. So looking at India, we saw innovations, and you will be surprised to know I did my homework. We saw the first wireless communication in Kolkata done by one Mr. Jagadish Chandra Bose, 1895, using radio waves and microwave kind of a setup to communicate. So that was 1895 in Kolkata. we saw the invention of US ports, docks and cables by the Indian-American computer architect H.A.V. Bhatt from Vadodara in Gujarat. Visual J Sharp is a programming language which was launched by Microsoft India in 2002 in their offices in Hyderabad. Intel Pentium was done and made by Mr. Vinod Dham from Pune, who is being called since then the father of the Pentium chip. And last, and not to forget, one of India's greatest scientists, our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who pioneered the Indian space program. So, this brings me to today's discussion on how innovation can change the way how Indian industries work and how we can get some inputs from the thought leadership directly. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, am I audible, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, can you hear me, ladies and gentlemen? Perfect, thank you. So, very warm welcome to all our panelists here for today's event, the panel discussion around innovation here in this wonderful expo set up and hosted by ICRA. So we have a bunch of questions where we would want to hear thoughts from the thought leadership here in Bangalore in today's panel. I would like to start, ladies first, I would like to start with Mrs. One second please, I need to check that here on my paper. Lakshmi Nageshwari. Very warm welcome, very good morning. Mrs. Nageshwari is the global lead for AI solutions at Boston Limited. So the first question we have for you is, how do you see the India startup ecosystem currently placed internationally on providing modern solutions?
Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, cool.
Thank you. India is really doing good when it comes to technology adoption and startup growth rate. Majorly, I personally feel that we are really good at
shall I probably
I'm audible. Yeah. India is really doing good, in my opinion. We are good at adopting new technologies and applying new technologies is a key point I personally believe. And that is really encouraging the startup communities to grow faster and reach to international markets. Basically, as I mentioned, whenever we have a new technology entering into the market, I'm able to see a lot of POCs are being developed, implemented in very quick time. And when it comes to AI hardware accelerators like GPUs and all, we could see we could have some solution around these new technologies within weeks' time, not even months. And today I'm able to see GraphCore's IPU, Intel Habana Gaadi's HPUs entering market, and along with the entry itself within weeks of time, we have a lot of POCs coming up with nice outcomes. And why I'm mentioning this is more or less the startups are coming forward to access these technologies and build their solutions on these. Technologies are also really nice with minimal code migration accessibility and giving really good performances. So coming to your question, India startups are really doing good. As we all aware of, we are standing at third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And coming to the reach to international markets, I think from conversion of temple waste into products to medical healthcare segments, developing really good solutions which have created India's identity at the international markets. The product services the startups are able to develop are really nice, and we have good recognition at the international markets. I think as per the statistics, 44 Indian startups have been recognized under unicorn status in 2021. That itself is giving us the visibility where we are at the international markets. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insights. Thank you. So then I would like to welcome Mr. Sudhakaran. And the next question is for you, sir. Which are the common hindrances you face when you implement technology in already existing traditional businesses, and how do you overcome the same?
A very relevant question, I must say. When we talk about hindrances, it's not only about technology adoption. There was this famous joke. A tea seller in India knows how better to play cricket than Sachin Tendulkar did, right? So, how should he have not batted? How should he have met? How should he have handled a certain ball? Everybody knows it better. And that's exactly the problem with technology space. So when you go into a domain which is traditional in nature, traditional business, be it healthcare or be it hospitality, be it even core technology, they're grained in a certain way. And it becomes so hard for them to understand that digital transformation, the first process to digital transformation is a process re-engineering. But they don't want that process re-engineering to disrupt their existing setups. The existing tables, the existing chairs, the existing computers have to be the way it is, and still they want disruption to happen. So when you're going to disrupt, you're going to end up going to change a lot of things. That acceptance, first of all, it becomes inconvenient for people, because while we talk about change adaptation is not very easy. It doesn't come easy to people. You put them into slight inconvenience, they feel that this is not how they want to go about it. So it takes a lot of convincing to adopt technologies, and then the fear of future, how that change is going to impact them. Whether, like for example, I was in an Uber and I was talking about the driverless cars of the future, and I asked a driver as to how he felt about driverless cars. He was absolutely angry that I was even taking up that subject. He was simply refusing to want to look into that future where there is no scope for a driver to be. Similarly, you talk to a call center executive, and you say that tomorrow's call centers will not be there. It will be more or less handled by voice assistants who will probably give accurate solutions than what they can think of. They don't want to think or hear about it, because they think that for the nature of the skill that they have, they want to continue to retain that job. And this is true in a corporate environment, that when you go to, say, an accounts department where you had 10 clerks and you say, I can digitize it and optimize it with, say, with 2 people, they don't want to hear it. And consequently, they will create fears which don't exist on ground. So these are the challenges when you get into transformations, and therefore the opposition to the process reengineering, which is generally not accepted norm before you undertake a major digitization process, creates stumbling blocks.
Absolutely, and I think such platforms like this event today can really help people to understand, to overcome that fear, right? Because the biggest fear people have when there is innovative initiatives, oh my God, will I have a job tomorrow? Does that cost me my job? And stuff like that, right? So thank you so much, Mr. Sudhakar. Cool. Mr. Gautam, next question goes to you. Very good morning. So Mr. Gautam is the Chief Business Officer of Sugarbox Networks. Mr. Gautam, your question is, how can technology contribute to the further growth of India?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I think there are three types of impacts, in my opinion, technology creates. There is an economic impact, there is a social impact, and the most critical of all is the multiplier effect that the technology does create in the ecosystem, or for that matter in any economy. Technology creates a level playing ground, and it acts as enablers for those businesses and citizens who otherwise could not either compete or sustainably grow in the ecosystem, right? There was a McKinsey study that the newer technologies like AI, technologies like IoT, mobile internet, and so on and so forth, will essentially create an economic value of almost $1 trillion by 2025 in India alone, right? And it's not just economic value addition. Technology also helps reduce the cost of distribution. Imagine millions of small businesses in India. In absence of having a technology, how would they distribute their products and services, right? Imagine, the classic example is UPI. Imagine in absence of a UPI, how would a small business or a person would transact online without having that infrastructure or the technology available, right? So it helps reduce the cost of distribution. It helps reduce the cost of production, and eventually it increases efficiency and effectiveness, and indirectly adds economic value, correct? Then technology enables access to a lot of services, right? Services like healthcare, services like education, services like opportunities, livelihood, and so on and so forth. And it actually empowers citizens and the people with the voice and the power for them to sort of grow in a sustainable manner. Eventually, even if you look at United Nations Sustainable Goal Development Charter, one of the three key pillars is the fostering innovation, right? And closer home, you look at Government of India's focus on Digital India, focus on Bharat Broadband, and so on and so forth. There is absolutely no doubt that we need technology not just for the overall economic strengthening, we also need technology for enhancement of a social impact, for creating and providing access to millions of people and the businesses in India. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gautam. Cool. The next question goes to my colleague, Mr. Kishore Sharma. He's the head of partnerships and alliances at Fonada. Very good morning, Mr. Kishore. My question to you would be, what transformation results we can achieve in the industrial growth through the integration of new technologies?
Great. Thank you so much. My name is Kishore. I'm today here on behalf of Nitish Gopalani, who is a co-founder of Fonara. So the question that you have asked, how does this industrial growth that we can expect in maybe near future, right? Because we cannot expect something which is in next 5 to 10 years. So we have seen right over the period of time where the coal mines, machineries of industrial revolution. Now we are in Industrial Revolution 4. So it's a drastic change that we have seen over the last 50 years, right? Especially in terms of how our habits have changed, our choices have changed, the way we technology is changed. So with this particular behavior, what I see is one, for the businesses, they have to evolve, they have to change, have to adopt, right? And similarly, the customer behavior, customer experience that they are expecting is also changed. So in order to give this particular kind of the connection between both, so technology integrations are also important in this. So in this fact, if you look at one of the use cases that I can talk about today is the pandemic has helped a lot of businesses, especially which are into the fintech, right? So loans have been disbursed within 5 minutes. So people who need all kind of loans, short loans or maybe little, personal loans or so, are happening within minutes. So this is one of the greatest example of the technology revolution that we have seen. This is a pros of this particular technology, but there is a con of this technology, because a lot of people have seen that they are taking loan because it's available, and they end up not paying it, especially people who are at middle lower class level, right? So we got to see how this can work in terms of helping the businesses, as well as, because when they give the loans but they are not able to retrieve it, there is a loss from both the sides. So in terms of the other aspect that I can talk about is this particular technologies have helped during this period is the payments that we have seen. So the total digital payments which has taken place in last year itself, it's almost 7,500 crores, which is one of the record we have set off in India. So these transformations that we are seeing is tremendous, and it's going to continue for the next 4 to 5 years. And I see this particular revolution is very, very promising, especially for the Gen X and the Gen X and Alpha. And I see this is going to be a great future with the technology. And without technology, I think we are not able to breathe. I was not having a phone for 2 days without internet, and I was feeling like I'm out of this world. So technology is a very, very important aspect in terms of the innovations that we are looking at. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kishore. My next question goes to the CEO of Spinta Digital, Mr. Vinod. Mr. Vinod, our questions are: which are the challenges faced by startups in retaining and hiring good talent in the market?
Yeah, thank you. So I think it's very important today that we maintain and retain the staff and also attract the right staff. So I believe the culture that you set in your company is most important. Also, I believe that you need to understand each and every employees that are working with you, because if each one of them has their own goals in life, right? And they have their own missions that they want to achieve. So you need to make sure that you are able to get them to their goal while you're going towards your goal. So their pathway towards your pathway towards your goal, it should also be their pathway. So we again at Spinta make sure that we give them the importance that they deserve. We, whenever we win something, we want them to be part of it. We want them to feel that victory. At the same time, the culture we set, it should be a culture where they have fun, because today's, especially the youngsters who are willing to work in startups, want a good culture. They want to be able to have fun. They want to be able to have a lot of challenges. They are very excited to work on upcoming challenges. And, I believe that today's generation especially is like, they always want more and, more of fun, more of work, more of challenges. So I think if you can set up a culture in a way that where you can let them grow, where you can show them that, yes, you have a great pathway ahead and where they feel part of the company. So you should have a strategy in place where they feel ownership and accountability. And once you are able to achieve it, I think you'll have some really good staff who are able to take your company forward. In terms of hiring, I think the more and more your current staff are posting content about you out there, I think more and more people would want to work with you. Again, salaries and everything, it's important, but today's staff are not just looking at that. They're looking at multiple options, right? They want to know whether you offer remote work. They want to know whether you have a hybrid model of work. And especially after pandemic, now since offices are opening, there is a huge challenge for big companies today to get the people back to work, in their office. So it's like a challenge there. And as a startup, we'll have to be very agile. We'll have to kind of understand, like, especially the key staffs that you have, right? You need to make sure that you're retaining them, because once you start losing your staff and hiring new ones, you're going to waste a lot of time, You're going to waste a lot of time in terms of seeing how they are going forward or to get back to speed, because you're going to lose a lot of time in retraining and, getting the new people to understand what you're about and how you want to make them. So it's always important to do everything you can to retain your talent. And yes, your HR managers should be today. It's not like before. Today they should be more fun-loving. They need to do certain things to keep the team spirit up. And basically having a complete work culture is the most important thing.
Great. Thank you so much. That would bring me actually to the next question on since the markets have become very dynamic, also in the recruitment sector, do you see challenges in getting enough talent to meet your business goals?
Today, the talent crunch is definitely there, especially if you see like, deep technologies like AI and data science and, data scientists. There is a lot of, gap there, and today's attrition is also pretty high. So we work with a lot of AI and data analytics companies as well as cyber security and new age technologies. And we know that today they are, people used to come to us for marketing because they wanted to get more leads. Today they're more worried about positioning themselves for employer branding. I want to attract talent. So that is their major concern that they have, especially the companies in the US who have their offshore here. The major problem is not getting new businesses. Their major problem today is branding themselves to be the choice for an employee, because today the market is in a way that a guy decides to quit a job, he gets 4 offer letters by the time the day finishes, So you have to position yourself in the right way to be able to attract the right talent.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. The next panelist I have a question for is Mr. Nanchunda. He's the founder of Nietzsche Venture Impacts. Very good morning. Sir, the global economy looks currently in the longer outlook challenging for many reasons, and leading economists to anticipate a global recession. So what would be your advice to Indian startup owners and founders on how to prepare for this eventuality?
Well, one, I think it's about time to relook at the business model, which I'm a big proponent of distributed economy. So I think it's like the whole world is getting ready to tell the entrepreneur that it's time that you relook at how you're doing it. And if we as Indian entrepreneurs don't get ready to do that, then we are bound to face more problems. So essentially, look at going distributed. That would be one way of looking at it. And when we look at go distributed means first is that you have to be an asset-light business. And if you are a tech company, there's been a lot of talk about data first, but and also data is the new oil. But I would say you have to start thinking data light model as well. So I think, so three things. One, go distributed economy model. Two, go asset light. Three, go data light. Hope it answers.
Wonderful. That's a nice formula to follow. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. Mrs. Lakshmi, where do you see the biggest opportunities for the upcoming talent in India in the AI domain?
Thank you. When we are talking about AI, bright and promising future is definitely there, especially for India, because we are being considered as a developers nation, and youth are really moving forward at a faster pace in adopting these technologies. I think as per the statistics, we around $957 billion contribution is expected to add to Indian economy, maybe in the next coming 10 years. So that's a good promising opportunity coming forward. And personally, I feel whoever is learning, upskilling or reskilling themselves in the application knowledge in these fields like AI, machine learning, deep learning, whatever we talk about technologies, and good at adopting these technologies in their workspace has brighter future than the expected talent coming up and the opportunities. Today I can see a lot of training institutions in and around every city corner of the country. If they can really focus on the application knowledge of these subjects and be ready to adopt any new technology in their workplace, and open-minded to adopt, experiment with new technologies for their work-related areas, will definitely will be able to grab the opportunities coming their way. And I think more center of excellences between industry and government coming up and providing opportunity of exploring new technologies will be another way of exploring technologies towards their projects, and that is going to give a different level for adoption. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your insights. Mr. Sudhakaran, in the AI domain, do you foresee in the long run that AI replaces human intelligence, and do you see some sort of a need to regulate the same?
This is a question that often lands me into trouble because the view that I espouse sometimes the larger industry is not in sync, but then I can put it very simply, right? So before answering this question, I'll have to ask a question. How many of us really do understand what AI is? And it could be a kind of a question which could make people, look at me with some level of arrogance. But then that's not the idea. Let's get into the brass tacks as to what AI really is. So when AI was first defined, it was supposed to be a technology that was supposed to exhibit human-level cognitive intelligence. Right? That's the fundamental definition of AI. And how do you know a system is AI, right? And in 1960s, when after Alan Turing's work on morphogenesis, the test that is even today used to determine whether a system is AI or not is the Turing's test. And what is a Turing's test? You put an AI system and you put a human being. You must not be able to make out, a person behind the screen should not be able to make out which is the system and which is the being, right? How many of your systems will stand this test? So if you're talking about this, then what we are dealing with in AI today, everybody says that a television is an AI, a fridge is an AI, a refrigerator is an AI. There is no AI in it. Let me tell you, there is no intelligence in it. So if I have to put it in a context, like we talk about image processing, we talk about natural language processing, we talk about chatbots, voice to speech, these are not AI. They are statistical computational algorithms at the best, right? You are essentially using certain mathematical principles, statistical methods, algebra, maybe advanced algebra like Euler's distribution or Gaussian distribution, things like that, and using brute computational power to solve it and say that this is AI. That is not AI. Now, if I have to give you a practical context, imagine if you had a robo whom you take around as a bodyguard, and you have Suman Ranganath here, and you start flirting with her, right? The robo is the witness to it. And you go back home, and your wife asks to the robo, what was this guy doing? And if it just plain simply says, I saw him flirting there, because that's what it shows, right? Your day is gone. And you will look at that as an idiotic object which was not able to contextualize a certain thing. Imagine I create a spy robo, it lands into Pakistan for spying, and of course you will have to pass through the immigration to do that. And the immigration officer asks you, what do you come for? And it dumbly says, I've come here for spying, right? That's not intelligence. So when you talk about intelligence per se, one of the important things that natively occurs to intelligence is you have to be context aware. And when I'm talking about context aware, consciousness is very important for intelligence. So that's where digital consciousness steps in. Now, you might be surprised that OpenAI, which is Elon Musk's startup, right? Just a couple of months back, they said their native AI frameworks have started showing elementary consciousness. There are a lot of scientists who are up in arms, how can it be? Just because somebody is claiming something, it may not be the truth, but then you can't dismiss it too. But fundamentally, if you don't have consciousness at its foundation, there can be no intelligence because you have to be context aware. That's one. Second is, there is no intelligence without deception. Now again, coming back to that robo which was telling that you were flirting with a girl, need to be context aware and tell your wife instead, no, he was absolutely fine, which means he is essentially telling a lie. The spy robo in the immigration counter has to say, I've come for an X job. I've come for an X job. So that means that there is a native ability to deceive, which is not a negative trait, which is part of your intelligence, which is so important for any intelligent behavior to occur in the first hand. So now coming to the question, can it be regulated? Intelligence can never be regulated, because if you think that you can program a digital being into existence, it's not possible, because then that is not intelligence. You are merely creating a copy. Like if I were to tell you that this is the answer for this question and you were to repeat it, there's no intelligence in that. Intelligence is when you can encounter a situation, an unknown situation, an out of syllabus question, all by yourself through your intellect. And that's where it passes the Turing test. So for those of you who say that some kind of a regulatory framework or an ethical framework is possible, let me tell you, 99% of them don't know what they're talking about because they're not hands-on into it. So that leads us to the important question as to whether future digital intelligence will replace human intelligence, right? So again, I will take you all back to the high school. We were taught that we are a product of the Darwinian evolution, right? From monkeys, I became this. But we all somehow consciously take it for granted that evolution has stopped. What makes us believe so? If from monkeys we could come here, what stops us from becoming something else? Is it necessary that we have to essentially evolve from one organic state into another organic state, or transform, the intelligence can transform from this organic state into absolutely something synthetic and probably into a complete digital intelligence of sorts. So which means, as part of the evolutionary process, we may well be overwhelmed by future digital super intelligent being. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think there's a big opportunity to further enhance the public understanding of the possibilities of AI and how we as a society as well as the Indian industry can really benefit from it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Mr. Gautam, my next question to you would be, what is your vision on we can further integrate, on how we can further integrate rural India into the digital economy and its opportunities?
This is very close to what we are trying to do at Sugarbox. At Sugarbox, we want to democratize access to digital services using a technology everyone knows, something called edge cloud, right? How does someone access an internet application or a service? Essentially, you need a cloud, and cloud has a lot of functionalities, and you need a CDN, which is content delivery network, right? Where you essentially store content and then you deliver to the end user. Not everything comes from origin, which is, let's say you are trying to access Z5. Most of the time, it never comes from Z5. It comes from a CDN, which is close to you or close to the user, right? What we have done at Sugarbox is that we have patented a couple of technologies leveraging this edge cloud and CDN, wherein we have taken functionalities of a cloud and a CDN, put it in a hardware, it's a hardware agnostic, and it can be deployed at any place of consumption where users are consuming. And we can deliver those services, digital services, using local area network or a Wi-Fi without the need of a bandwidth or a spectrum, which is the patent we have in India and US. Now, to us, we don't believe that access to digital services or democratizing access to digital service or connectivity is not just a technological problem. It is also an economical problem, right? Otherwise, why something which works very efficiently and effectively in, let's say, Kormangala and HSL layout doesn't work somewhere in a village, correct? Primarily because it's not that the technology cannot be taken and replicated in that village. It can be. But does it make sense from an economic perspective, right? When it doesn't make sense, then we see the challenges of underconnectivity and unconnectivity, right? Let's talk about some of the statistics in India itself. We have 700 odd million internet population, depending on which report you are reading. But out of those 700 million, I think only the 50 to 100 million can be said are fully connected, where we don't have as much as experience problem as the rest of the population. Then we have a large amount of population who are underconnected, or maybe they're barely connected, right? And the last portion is they're unconnected. They are yet to come on digital, or many of those are called WhatsApp internet population, which means they can only access WhatsApp, and hence technically they fall under internet population, but they can't do anything beyond that. Either they don't know, or they can't afford, or there is no reliability. Now, what we want to do, and we have started doing in collaboration with a lot of government agencies and private ecosystem, is by enabling access to digital services through deployment of a technology, and wherein we partner with digital services in one hand where people can access to those digital services and people don't have to pay for data because we are not using spectrum. On the other hand, we partner with network providers wherein they may be comfortable providing point-to-point network, but they may not be sustainable in terms of distributing to an entire village, right? In that case, we take their network, we deploy our technology, and we redistribute and democratize access to services. So, in my view, for democratizing and digitizing the next 500 odd million in India and probably the existing 300 to 400 underconnected, we will need an ecosystem, we will need a strong partnership across the ecosystem for everyone to be able to make sense. Because no one single type of technology, no one single type of company, no one single government will be able to do that sustainably. And within government also we see a lot of encouragement and a lot of initiatives. For example, you have got a Digital India. There is a Bharat broadband project to digitize 650,000 odd villages in India. But even the private ecosystem, the enterprise ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, I think, will be the need of the hour for us to be able to connect the next 500 million and enhance the existing experience of the existing 500 odd million people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gautam. I do also strongly believe that there is huge opportunity to further introduce the rural India to the digital commerce, and there is large opportunities for small businesses to really up the game and really scale. And thank you so much, sir. Mr. Vinod, one of the much talked about next innovations is the metaverse. And where do you see from your perspective, how does marketing work in the metaverse, and where is the opportunity for Indian talent and for Indian startups to make their mark over there?
Metaverse is a very interesting subject. There's a lot of pros and cons about it, is what I hear. A couple of months back, there was an event in Dubai which I attended where there were a lot of really good startups that come up and developed a lot of things on the metaverse. It's still in a very nascent stages. People are buying lands in metaverses. Recently Snoop Dogg bought a land, and the land around his property, the virtual property, went for a very high rate. Probably in the future, digital billboards, the virtual billboards would play a role where in terms of advertising. There's not much into advertising per se at this point in time on the metaverse, but there is a huge scope that is there for sure. I mean, the AR and VR industry, I believe, is around $6.7 billion in 2022, and it is estimated to grow almost by double to $12 billion by 2024. And currently, statistics show that at least 85 million users are using either AR or VR on a monthly basis for at least once. So all the signals are there where people are going to get into it, and as you know, today's generation, they want to try a lot of new things. A lot of possibilities are there, like virtually meeting up your friends in your own world, creating your own world, having these business meetings in a virtual world, like in a way that you like. You'll have virtual coffee shops and things like that. So when a virtual world is created, a virtual advertising model also gets created, because when more and more people start, engaging themselves in this virtual world, more and more brands will start advertising there. So yes, there is a lot of scope for companies here or startups here to really focus on metaverse, because a lot of huge companies, as you know, like Meta, for example, and a lot more really huge companies have started investing pretty heavy amounts on the space. So I'm sure they will make sure that it works, considering the kind of investments that they're making. So I think it's good for startups to focus on that and be ready once things are happening. And brands have also started adopting to it. Like H&M has their own metaverse store now. I mean, it's not open where you can buy, but they're building it and they're enhancing it. And there are a lot of brands who are now creating their space on the metaverse. So there is a lot of possibilities that is going to come, and we just have to be, well aware of the, because it's still, considering it's still in nascent stage. One thing is like the startups, whoever are getting into it, what I would advise is to make sure that they gather a lot of information about it before jumping into it, because it is still in the nascent stages. So.
Thank you very much. I think we all look very, very much forward to this journey. I'm very confident there is a lot of exciting stuff happening, and it's going to be one of the next big things. Thank you so much. Mr. Kishore, Mr. Increasing number of social media platforms with increasing different ways of people communicate with each other. Where do you see innovative solutions for us as citizens and for the industry?
Well, I couldn't hear properly, but still, I'll try to answer. I could get some of the questions. So, what you're saying is how these new innovations will be helping the new media platforms, right? So, if I get this question right, so now let's look at this as one of the issues that we see in the businesses. So, especially the startups and the small businesses or SOHO businesses, when they launch their business, they come up with a website first, because website is the face of any of the businesses, right? And they try to generate leads, try to present their products, and so on. So when they're getting their leads through the organic search or through the social media platforms, right? So the interaction between the customer and the business is almost a lag of 1.5 to 2 days, right? So if you're using a CRM, it gets into the CRM, somebody has to look at, they have to call, and so on. So this issue has to be solved, and for this, as Funada also have come up with a solution, which is called the Zep call. So whenever you have leads coming in to your website, all your visitors and your leads gets connected immediately, right? So we bridge the call between the leads and also the business within 2 minutes. When you say 2 minutes, it's authenticated and get connected. So the business leads are not, put into a drop-off basket. It has to be attended. It has to be answered. So this is one of the solution that we have, as in terms of bridging the leads, the visitors to the businesses, which happens on the website as well as on the mobile technology. So another is the aspect that we're looking at in terms of this new age technology media platform like TikTok or any of these platforms like Shorts and all that. So when you're trying to download the apps, right, so you need to go through a small verification process. So these apps, when you're downloading, there is a friction between your trying to enter the SMSs and all that, right? So we are trying to eliminate with a Q verifier. With this, we are almost eliminating 50% of the cost that the businesses, which runs mostly on their apps, right? So they can reduce 50% of the cost on this. So onboarding is seamless with no SMS as a first mechanism. And the second mechanism is SMS, and third mechanism is the voice OTP. So this reduces tremendous cost to the businesses which has apps, lot of downloads. And in terms of this bridging solutions, we also have the voice solutions. So voice solutions, as my colleague was talking about the AI. So the AI, he rightly said, has a lot of different meanings in the industry, and they think the AI means you're automating robotics, right? So it is not. So similarly, when you are using any of these particular technologies, you got to think what could be the use cases and where it is used properly. So overall, my point here is you need to see what solutions can be done with automation, with technology, with AI, but it cannot be everywhere. So basis on the use cases, basis on the business needs, you need to decide and go after it. So so this is my answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So we have a good opportunity to see how we can benefit from each other by combining the strengths of our particular domains and move. Yeah, maybe Mr. Nanchunda. So so do you see the opportunity after we have touched so many topics? Yes, please come here. No problem. So Mr. Nanchunda, so we have touched various topics during the discussion, and do you see an opportunity, and to me it pretty much looks like that we have an opportunity to combine skills in our particular domain, strengths in our particular domains, to move the industry forward?
Well, I could only not hear mic works. Right. I do see, and that's the obvious way forward. And I think in the context of startups, perhaps what we come across with most of the startups get swayed by the keywords. So best is to cut down on the keyword, focus on the real value, and stay with being relevant. I think that would be one way that you can build industries. And most importantly, again, is ways to collaborate with the local ecosystem can make it much easier. It's not possible that we all get all the skills with ourselves. So it's much easier to collaborate, and we could.
We are one team, right? Yes. Okay, cool, wonderful. Thank you so much. Cool, that brings me to the end of the session. I want to say a very big thank you to all my colleagues, to my co-panelists. It was an amazing discussion. Thank you so much, and it's a good opportunity to see how we continue to learn from each other to move our businesses and the country forward. Thank you so much. Thank you.